Good evening, everyone. My name is Rabbi Steven Dansky. Welcome to everybody who's watching on US TV. My name is Rabbi Steven Dansky. As mentioned, I am from Cranbrook United Synagogue, and it is an absolute joy to be with you to share the receiving and Kabbalat Shabbat together with you all. We're going to start off with Yedid Nefesh, followed by L'chunran al Hashem with Kabbalat Shabbat. Yedid Nefesh Avorachamon Mishai Chavdecha Eretzoinecho Yorutz Avdecha K'mo Ayol Yishtachaveh El mul hadarecha yerav lo yedidoisecha mina oifes tzuv ve'echotoam adur noeh sivoilam nafshichoy lasavosecha Ana elna rafana la beharois la nayam zivecha asis chazek vetis rapei v'hoyasala simchas soilam v'sik yehamuna Rachamecha v'chusana al beinahu v'cho ki zekamo miksoy nisavti lirois meira b'ziver esuzecha chamdo v'olivi v'chusana ve'al tisalam higalena ufrois chavivi alai ha'esukas sheloi mecha tahir eretz mikvoitecha nagila v'nismechavach maher kiva v'moyed v'chaneinu ki imei olam la 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 Le'echudran al-Adonai Nahariya le'tzur yishaynu Nekadma fana besaita Bizmirais nariya loi Ki agadol Adonai U'melegadal Elohim ונשלח ונקרא נברא לבני אדינו עשינו כי הוא אלינו ואנחנו אמריסוי וציין ידוי היום מכל ישמעו העתק שלו חנוני גם רפואלי 40 shana akut bedar ve'yaymar Altoelei vavein ve'heim lo yadu derachoi asher nishbati b'yapi im yevoyun el menuchosi Shiru ladainai Shir chodosh Shiru ladainai kol haaretz Shiru ladainai barchu shemai Basru miya'im le'ya'im Yeshuasai Sapru v'goyim ka'evaydai V'chol ha'amim nifla'isov Ki gadol Adonai Umehu lo meyai Nairahu al kol Elohim mayai Ki kol Elohim amim melilim V'Adonai shomayim oso Hoyt v'hodor lefono V'zesiferes b'mikdoshoy Havu l'Adonai mishpachois amim Havu Adonai kavod v'ois Havu l'Adonai kevayt shemai Ste'u mincha Uvayu l'chatzroi sovayai Ishtachavu l'Adonai be'atras kodesh Kilu miponov kol ha'aretz Imru v'goyim Adonai molach Avti koin tevel ba'alti moit Yotinamim b'meisharim Yizmuchu hashamayim v'sogel ha'aretz Yiramayom Umloyoi Yaloi sodai V'chol asher boyayai Asheranenu kolat zeyowar Lifnei Adonai Kiva lishbait ha'aretz Yishbait tevel v'tzedek Ve'amim b'emunosoi Lai 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 Adonai Moloch Togel Haaretz Yismechu Im Rabim Anan Varavel Sevivot Tzedek Umishpat Mechaim Kisahoi Eishavanov Teilech Chusalait Soviv Tzorov Hey, Iruvarakov Tevel Rasov Tochelo Oretz. Orim Kadoiling no Mosum living Adonai Milifne Adon Kolo Oretz. Igila Shamim Titkoi Varo Kolom Kavoidoi. Ivoshikol Avdei Pesel. Hamis Halim Voilili Mishachavu Adonai Kol Elohim. Shama Batis Martzion. ותגל בני שהודה למען משפטך אדוני כי אתה אדוני יין על כל הארץ מי נעליסה על כל אלוהים Adonai sinura shomer nafshois chasika miad reshoim yatzilem orzara latzadik ulishrei lei simcha tzadikim b'Adonai v'haidu Lezecher kodshoy Mizmor shiru l'Adonai shir chodosh Ki niflo esaysa Ashir alai yeminoi Uzaroya Kodeshai, Ayai, Oitia, Taina Yeshua, Soy, Lenea Goyim Gilotit Kosoi, Zachar Chastoi, Veyemuna, Soy, Le'evesh Yisroel, Ro Kol Aseyoret, Eis Yeshua Selei Haveinu, Ariu Ladoinai Kol Horet, Pitzchu Veranenu Vezameru, Samru Ladoinai Bechinar, Bechinar Bekoil Zimera, Bechatzoit Chois Vekal Shoifar, Ariu Lifnei Amelech Adoinai Hiram Hayom Loyoi, Tevel V'Yoshev Eva, Nahorois Shimcha Uchav, Yachad Harim Yeraneinu Lifnei Adonai Kiva, Lishbait Haaretz, Yishbait Tevel V'Tzedek, V'Yamim B'Meisharim. Adonai Malach Yirgezu Amim, Yoshev Keruvim, Tanhu Taretz. Adonai B'Tzion Gadol V'Adol, V'Ramhu HaKol Eloi Mi'amim. Yodesh V'Cha Gadol V'Kneira Gadeshu, V'Is Melech Mishpot V'Tefkananto, Meishorim Mishpot Utztaka B'Yakov, Oto Siso. Wanale Mishachbol Adam Raglav Kataishu, Moshe Varoin Mechayanov, Ushmuel, V'Koirei Shemai, Koirim El Adonai, V'hu Yanein, V'amud Anad, Damer Aleihem, Shamru Edaisav, V'chayna Hasan Lamoi, Aleinu Eloheinu, Ato Anisahom, Elnateo Yisolohem, V'noi Kemal Aliloisom, Roi Memu Adonai Eloheinu, Ishtahavu Le'ar Kochoi, Ki Kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu, Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai B'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod V'Oizayai, Havul Adonai Kavod Shema Yishtach, Havul Adonai V'Adras Kodesh, Ka'el Adonai Al Hamayim El HaKavod Hirim, Adonai Hamayim Rabim, Kol Adonai B'Koyach, Kol Adonai B'Adorayai, Kol Adonai Shai V'Arozim Yishaber Adonai Ezar Ze'avonayin V'Yakidem K'moyei Yelponoin V'Siryon K'moy V'Nreimim, Kol Adonai Chaytem Yavoisesh, Kol Adonai Yochil Midbar, Yochil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yochel Elayolais, Vayechesoi Ye'arais, Uveikoloi, Kuloi Omer Kovoid, Adonai Lamavu Yoshav, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Le'olam. Adonai Yais Lama Yitein, Adonai Yevarech, Esamoy V'Shalom. Anna B'Koyach Gedulas, Yemincha, Tatir Tzerura Kaverina Samcha, Sagveinu Tareinu Nairo. Anna B'Koyach Gedulas, Yemincha, Tatir Tzerura, Kaberina strina samacha, sagveino tareinu, nairo, noivat harshei chudach, kava shomreim orchem tarim rachmetit choschot umid gomleim. Lechodai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechodai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Shamar v'zachar b'dibur echad. Hishmiyanu eila meyuchad. Adonai echad b'shemai echad. L'shemu l'siferes v'lisila. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Likras Shabbos l'chu v'nelcha ki mekair haberacha meirosh mikedem nesucha. Soich maseh b'machshavot chila. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Mikdash melech yirmelucha kumitei mitecho avecha. Rav lach sheves b'yemei kavacha, v'yachmol alaichem lo. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Is na'ali me'afar kumi, lifshi bigdei sifartei chami, ayat ben yishai reis alachmi, karvo el nafshi ge'olah. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Hisayreri, kiva ayre kumi ayri, uri shira behayri, kavayr Adonai alayich nigla. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabela. La'asei v'shi v'la'asei kolmi, ma'at ishtochachi u'matami, ba'ach yechesu ani yami, ve'eni v'nesa irati lai. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Hoyu limshisa shoysa oyich v'rachaku kamevalayich yasis olayich elay ha'ayich ki im soch chosan al kala. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Yomin usma'il tifraitzi v'yes Adonai taritzi. Ayadi ish ben artzi ve'nismecha v'nagilai. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Lechadai likras kala b'nei Shabbos nekabla. Good Shabbos, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here on USTV and spending and bringing in Shabbos together with you. Today I've got a very, very beautiful and lovely Dvar Torah which I'd like to share with you. One of the fascinating elements of the tabernacle or the Mishkan were the Kruvim. Now, the Kruvim were two graven images of two angels who had wings which faced one another. They were made of gold. These two images were facing each other and were on both sides of the Aron, the cupboard in which the 10 Commandments were placed. What always puzzled me about these two Keruvim is quite how holy they were and what they were supposed to represent. We know that the verse tells us that when God speaks to Moses, the voice of God comes from between these angels to speak to him. What purpose did these Keruvim serve? Why did the voice of God need to come from there? For what reason were they made? It all seems incredibly strange. If the Aron was in the Holy of Holies, then I can understand that the voice of God comes from the Aron, because indeed the voice of God, which was heard at the 10 Commandments, were inside that Aron. But why the Kruvim? The Talmud explains that the faces of the Kruvim were faces of young children. And our sages explain that the young children are supposed to be Talmidei Chachamim, the sages that study Torah. And that's very strange to me. When we generally think about sages who study Torah, we think about old men who have long, bushy beards. Unfortunately, mine is not with me. Why should it be that sages who are learned in Torah are portrayed as young children? And I think the answer is because if you look at children and you see that the way that they learn and the way that they perceive life, they see things in the most beautiful way. They are so excited. Everything is novel and new. Everything is intriguing. They have an open mind. They don't have any preconceived notions about how things should be because they've never experienced them before. I'm sure if you see a child being told Bible stories, or if you remember the first time you heard the stories of Abraham, or the stories of Isaac, or Jacob, or indeed of Moses, or any of the members of the beautiful story of truth of the Torah, you will remember how intrigued and how excited you were. A wise individual is defined not how much he knows, but by the curiosity to know more. In fact, we actually say in Ethics of Our Fathers, who is wise? Someone who learns from everyone. Somebody who is curious, is able to see things from another person's perspective. Such an individual is truly wise. And this is what a Talmud Chacham should be. He or she is an individual who is able to see the Torah with new eyes. Such a person is truly wise, because not only is he a Chacham, a wise person, but he or she recognizes that he's also a Talmud, which is the Hebrew word for a student, who will remain a student all of their lives, always curious, always excited about learning new things. Such a person will never say, I've already heard the story, you can't tell me anything new. There's nothing in the Torah that excites me. I've been through it. I've read the book. I've got the t-shirt. The reason is because if you are, and you have these characteristics, you will always find something new. There is always innovation, because every new book in the Torah is a new exploration of something, seeing it with different, childlike eyes. It's interesting to note that the Keruvim also share a root with the word karov, which means to be near. And we don't get nearer to God than when we are openly curious and excited about the book that he left for us. When an individual looks at the Torah through the eyes of a child with that enthusiasm and curiosity, then the result is that God will speak through them, just like God spoke to Moshe through the Kruvim. May we all be blessed to have the eyes of the child, to look into the Torah anew, to see its relevance in our lives, to understand the complexity and the wonder of the heritage that we have been given. which allows us to see it from different perspectives, which is greater and greater depth the more that you look into it. I wish you all the most special and warm and wonderful and restful Shabbos. Thank you for joining me today.